Patriots. It's time for the Signal 50 podcast, where we talk about the hard truth about today's current events.
Welcome to the Signal 50 podcast. It is Wednesday, March 10th, 2021. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Bravo. Good evening to you, sir. How are you?
Good evening, Alpha. A pleasure as always to hear you. And what a show we got for everyone tonight. Boy.
Well, we're going to be covering a few topics this evening. So welcome to the Signal 50 podcast, where we just try to bring you some stories that you might not normally find out there that might be pertinent to the political winds that are blowing around and some of the things that are going on. As always, we're going to bring it to you. We'll talk about it, what we think about it, and we'll let you decide. Lots of stuff going on. Just want to catch everybody up here, everybody that's been hard at work, making sure that you pay your taxes and contribute properly to the redistribution of wealth that's going on right now with the $1.9 trillion porculus bill that just passed.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
We're going to give, on Animal Farm, some animals are more equal than others. So we're going to be giving out $1,400 checks to buy some votes from people. And you nasty Republicans that actually work for a living, you don't get jack bone.
No, because they lowered the amount of income that qualifies everyone out there to get the stimulus, which is really our tax dollars.
That's right.
Being held against our will, of course. And they get to give it to the people that they think are going to vote for them again, or not raise a ruckus when it comes to how Biden stinks.
Well, he's awful.
Terrible.
I mean, look, okay, so we got a lot of things going on that we should really address here, okay? You've got a non-crisis crisis going on at the border of the Democrats doing, okay? You've got tens of thousands of people showing up at the border and no way to deal with these people. Okay.
It harkens back to Ghostbusters. I don't want to talk about the female one that was garbage. I'm talking about the original good Ghostbusters from 1984. And when Murray said, or Stankman said, Dickla's here, turned off the power grid. You know what Biden did? Biden shut off everything that we had going for the border, how great things were, how wonderful it was working. And all of a sudden, Dickless Biden there shut off the power, shut off the border. And now we're stuck with people just, they're filled up the kids' cages, which they blamed President Trump for, which was horse malarkey. It's nonsense. They should all be not coming to the border and not let in. And Texas is actually, I love what Texas is doing. I'm sure you've seen it, Alpha.
Yes.
They are not allowing them. They're going to do the job that the feds aren't going to do. And I can't wait to see the feds try to stop Texas from doing it, which I don't think Texas is going to listen to them.
I hope not.
Yeah.
And I just have one thing to add. Yes, it's true. This man has no dick. You forgot that part.
Yes, that's true. Great lines, great movie, awesome. It was fun.
Oh, back when comedy was comedy, and entertainment was entertainment. Like you couldn't make that movie.
No, they
anymore.
tried to do it with the it went broke. So
please don't go there. Yeah, try making Blazing Saddles again. Oh my God.
Spaceballs.
Well, anyhow, that's just one of the disasters. That's two disasters. You've got the $1.9 trillion COVID package, which only 10% of the money goes to COVID, and there's still like $1 trillion left from the last one. They haven't really done anything with. I'm just going to use it. Just going to throw that money around, launder it, maybe make their friends rich. It's fine. It's just my money, your money, everybody's money that's listening.
They're going to pay off all those leftover debts that states that don't know how to manage themselves, like know, New York, California, Maryland, New Jersey. There's so many of them I can't keep track of them.
Yeah, Massachusetts. Yeah, they're all bad. They're all bad. So you got that going on. You got your best friend Cuomo.
Mm.
It looks like he's got six accusers now, or something like that.
Yeah.
And the Democratic legislature is actually going to consider an impeachment.
I'll believe when I see it.
I'll believe it when I see it, but it sure does sound good.
Why are they all of a sudden going after him like this? They need to get rid of him. That's the only way. That's the only thing that makes sense from a 60,000 foot view, which today on the show, we're going to be doing a lot of the 60,000 foot. How does it fit into the big narrative? That's what I see that.
Right. The big picture. What's that big picture look like? And you've got Cuomo, that's kind of a big story. He was the big hero of COVID, turns out to be a big zero, probably the largest mass murderer in the history of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
If that's, it's probably possible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's about accurate. He hasn't been convicted yet. So, what? He could be an accused mass murderer. So let's correct ourselves there.
And Whitmer's getting there's some winds of charges possibly being filed up in Michigan. So
Whitmer. Yeah. She's paying people off with taxpayer dollars to keep them quiet. Yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome. Not even a little bit. And then you've got that going on. You've got let's see, COVID. Biden's dog bit a Secret Service agent.
And the dog had to go back to Delaware. Get out.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. There are no bad dogs, just bad owners. Owner. Yeah. There you go. So that's what's going on there on the little level. There is a major story that not a lot of people are really paying attention to or really talking about anymore because everyone's really kind of a bit worn out with it. The George Floyd murder case is about to kick off in the city of Minneapolis, I believe next Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And my understanding, I've been paying a lot of attention. I used to live in the Twin Cities area. I lived west of the city of Minneapolis, a great town, absolutely beautiful city. When I lived there, it was truly a wonderful place to live with culture, arts, restaurants, things to do. There was something going on every weekend, just a beautiful place to live. Even in the wintertime, you could find things to keep yourself occupied with. Mm-hmm. It was really a nice place to live. And now they have an autonomous zone, apparently.
Autonomous zone?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. 38th and Chicago Avenue in South Minneapolis. Apparently a band of city's rapscallions have taken over the intersection of 38th and Chicago and have declared it to be their own autonomous zone. And the limp-wristed mayor of the city of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry, won't allow the police department to do anything about it.
Really?
Yeah. They're telling all of the business owners down there, well, that's why you have insurance.
Really?
Traffic is not allowed to pass through. If you run down there, you're risking your life. There was actually a homicide down there the other day, and the throngs of rapscallions would not allow the police to investigate the homicide. And the city of Minneapolis just kind of put up with it. How about that?
Well, they did defund their police, didn't they? They were the
well, they did. They totally did. They defunded them, and now they're like, oh shit, maybe that was a bad idea.
They're trying to hire him back, from what the last story I read, but they're not having much luck because no one wants to go near it with a 10-foot pole.
I happen to know a lot of Minneapolis police officers or former Minneapolis police officers. They were all close to their 20, 25-year mark. Mm-hmm. I lived there, a little over 11 years ago. So a lot of those guys were on 10, 12, 13 years. By the time I knew them, they were all sergeants or better, and they were all really great guys, and they all said the same thing. I've been talking to them, and they're all like, "Hey, I just put my papers in. I'm done. I'm not doing this.
Mm-hmm.
They were there for the riots. They they've had enough. They're not doing this anymore.
Right.
So the city of Minneapolis, the city council there, they're just absolutely insane people. And there's a saying out in the Midwest: the closer you get to the tall buildings, the stupider people are.
Sure. Yeah.
And the city of Minneapolis certainly is no exception to that rule.
Mm.
What a damn shame! What a gorgeous city! What a damn shame!
Yeah. Until people start trying to hold something to account or get back to some kind of basic value of understanding that this country is built on life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and God has a place in this also. I think, unfortunately, we're going to start seeing a lot. We're going to continue seeing a lot more of this godlessness, and that's what it almost seems like to me.
Well, it's pretty bad. Look, Minneapolis hosted the Super Bowl a few years ago. Do you think the NFL? Well, I don't really care for the NFL, all right,
Yeah.
but it's kind of a big deal for your city to host a Super Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my understanding is Minneapolis did a great job. Everybody that went had a great time. The city of Minneapolis was wonderful, welcoming, open, warm. All the people that went there just they couldn't say enough good things about the city.
Mm-hmm.
They had the Final Four there. They've got a college football stadium there that'll knock your socks off. They've got all of the gear. They've got the Minnesota Wild that play there in the Xcel Energy Center. They've got everything. Everything. They've got hockey, football. They've got Twins baseball. They got Major League Baseball there. They've got Major League Basketball. They have everything between St. Paul and Minneapolis. All of the things that everybody loved to go do in these inner cities. All that is gone. Nobody wants to go downtown anymore.
I don't blame them.
Well,
You're
this
beat
is what
to death or accused to be a racist or who knows what's going to.
you get beat up, robbed, raped, carjacked, you name it. The carjackings in the city of Minneapolis has gone up exponentially. The murder rate is out of control. Random violent crime is just off the hook, and the police are just sitting back going, "I'm afraid to do anything."
Right.
So, yay liberalism, yay progressivism. Let's defund the police and let's trash two formerly great cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, two of the most beautiful cities in the country. It's a damn shame.
It is. So I don't know if they're ever going to get their act together there. That's the other issue. You got to stop voting these people in. Although, if more and more of this, if the voting integrity starts to straighten up, you may see some changes in these cities because you can finally get people in there that want to do the right thing and do it because it's the right thing to do and not to line their pockets and not to be corrupt.
No.
I mean,
I love your optimism. I love your optimism, but we warned everybody in the last episode about HR1. All you have to do is read HR1 and its contents and understand what that really is all about. And then you're going to have a better understanding of just how far down the river the Democrats have sold everybody. So, just buyer beware, right?
Exactly.
So I don't know. And that leads us to the heavy duty.
Yeah. So when we started this back in September, Alpha and I, lifelong friends, we're American patriots. We love talking about current events. We used to chit chat on the phone and talk about how things are going and why they're not doing certain things or how things are going. And we started this project in September that we wanted to start getting the word out there because we found that the media seemed to have been just following in lockstep and not talking about the real issues. And over the last couple since September, so we're already almost 5 months into this little project, little adventure almost.
Yeah, 5 months.
Yeah, and we've built a following on Rumble, and we're now that Parler's back, we're starting to build followers there, and we really appreciate it. So the attempted, and I think the media blackout's going to get worse, but when we had to, we've been on Telegram now, and we've been some other places. We've been kind of small, but we have a following, and we appreciate that everyone has given us two hours a week to listen to us talk on and on. When I found what we're going to talk about, and I showed it to Alpha, and when after he read it and after I read it, we're gonna present this to you, our listeners, so that you can make your own decisions. And a lot of it, if you look at it, is going to take your breath away. I don't know how else to explain it.
Well,
it's just
okay. So let's give a little bit of context and background here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's aware of who Lynn Wood is, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a defamation attorney. He's probably one of the most famous defamation attorneys in the country.
In Georgia.
And he's from Georgia.
Yep.
And generally speaking, when a defamation attorney of his caliber is going to say something or put out information, it's going to be pretty unimpeachable. It's going to be spot on. You know that you want to believe that it's a source you can trust. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Lynn Wood has said a lot of things recently that have been a little bit off the wall. I think he went a little mental there for a little while. But there are some people that think that he was kind of a Trojan horse for the Republicans.
Mm.
He was a Democrat operative being a Trojan horse. Okay. I don't know what to believe as far as that goes. Okay. A lot of the cases that he has presented and brought to Supreme Court on voter integrity and the election, they've all been dismissed. Okay.
They've been dismissed, never heard. The
That's right.
evidence has never been adjudicated
That's
or
right.
allowed to have been decided upon by the process.
That's right.
Which, when you keep that understanding and that thought in your mind as we start talking about what we're going to start talking about, it'll start to make some sense. And we'll get into this a little bit, but we're really setting up that Lynn Wood, and I think his off the rails or off the wall. I think it may be conflated, Alpha, with his religious beliefs, and I believe they're fervent and they are very deeply held. And I think that could be, and again, I'm just putting a possible hypothesis out there that he is just very faithful and a Christian, where he basically is seeing himself what he's doing as necessary and just putting it out there.
Right, and I'll go along with that. Okay, I have no issues with that, Bravo. But my what I want to say is what we're going to present to you this evening is a lot of material. It's a whole lot of material, and it's all the things. It is either shockingly revealing at the underbelly and the dirty swimsuit area of our government, number one, or it's the greatest story ever told with murder and mystery and espionage and deceit and treachery and all of the things that go into the greatest story ever written. So we're going to present this to you. This is from Lynn Wood. This is not from us. This is purportedly a deposition that was taken. I would imagine under oath, and depositions, generally speaking, you can get some. I was talking to a friend about this, a very close friend about this today. You can get some roast beef sandwich eater at Arby's to say, hey, my name's Lynn Wood. Do you want to give me a deposition and tell me a story? Is it possible that this guy's a roast beef eater from Arby's? Yeah. Is it likely? I don't know.
I don't.
You decide.
You decide. Now, you can go to our Telegram channel, the official Signal 50 podcast. You can download a PDF of this. I will say, Alpha, I went looking for this just to see if it was on Lynn Wood's line, and it was taken down from the website. Yes. There was an error 404 that was placed there. again, how did we get it? I downloaded it, so I kept it. But this is what this deposition is going to start to get into. It is in the format of a deposition. It's got and if you haven't read any of these, you have an interviewer and interviewee. In this case,
and the person taking the deposition is a verified reporter from a verified company called Whoosbees.
Mm-hmm.
So at least we have that going for us. And Linwood himself put this up.
Yep. And this person that's the interviewee, Ryan D. White, is not the real birth name. It's not the name that he prefers. Originally, he's from Maryland. He holds graduate degrees, plural. And he's in physics, mathematics, biology, and chemistry from the universities of Pennsylvania and Green College, Oxford. And he goes in, any of these depositions, that's where they start out. They ask you about your education. They ask you what you do. And again, this is in the same format that any other deposition would appear to be in. And like I said, this is 191 pages worth of deposition. We're not going to read all of it. We're not going to read it line by line, but we are going to kind of skim through it. And
we're going to hit the high. We're going to hit the high points.
Highlight. Yep.
Okay, so let's get past the introduction here and see where we start here. And it's really kind of a neat format. Scroll up a little bit. Up. There we go. The background.
Yep.
The date of this deposition is January 2021.
And there comes in sections too. So my guess is that they had a lot of information to cover, and they did it in chunks. But
this was done in over several sessions. This is not a single sit down.
Correct.
Yes.
And I believe there's an audio tape of this also, that if you are on Telegram, you can follow Linwood's channel, and he has that there also. There's a recording of this. Basically, this Ryan White, the interviewee, starts talking about how things happen in the government. And I believe the first highlight we want to talk about is there's something called the Dirty Trick Squad in Baltimore. In that, there's and a lot of this is, again, this is from the deposition. We're not making this up. You didn't decide. Talks about there is where they are using hammer, sunrise, sunset, things like that to illegally spy on people, corrupt, attempted to corrupt judges, compromise them, and Hillary Clinton and others. And this is from the deposition. I mean, it is just ongoing. They concentrate on judges.
Essentially, what this gentleman is revealing in the very beginning of the deposition is the fact that parts of the Justice Department used blackmail to go ahead and compromise people of value to them to do jobs, to do various things.
Or they needed certain things to fall in a certain direction. They need the dominoes to fall where they need them. Now, according to line number 9, and this page, actually the page number is covered, so I can't. Anyway, they would illegally compromise people, illegally wiretap, break into computers, plant, reverse, change information, change emails, things of that nature. And it was this capture capacity of working with that information about the judges, Robert and Pence, and things like that have come out. And he names these people by name. And Roberts, they're talking about Chief Justice Roberts.
Right.
And Pence, Mike Pence, the vice president.
And well, wait a minute, hold on. Let's slow down a little bit. We're missing something here. Who's the main bad actor? Who's the main bad actor?
Rosenstein.
That's correct. Rod Rosenstein.
He is the one that is really pulling all of these things for his own gain. Okay. And he tried, and again, this is the whistleblower talking. This is whenever I say I, it's not me, Bravo. It's the person that's giving the deposition. So the whistleblower tried several times in the past to get it out, and it was thoroughly squashed by Rod and the DOJ and the FBI to a horrible extent. This is a whistleblower. Now, if you want to talk about real whistleblowers, this is a whistleblower right here.
If this is to be believed, where we're starting here is just the 50,000-foot taste. Rod Rosenstein was the U.S. attorney for Baltimore.
Before he became the assistant.
The deputy, the DAG, the deputy attorney general.
Yep.
And he was a very, very powerful U.S. attorney in Baltimore. He ran his office, and he had a group of people that are referred to in this deposition as the Dirty Trick Squad.
Yep.
And what they did was they just compromised people for a living.
Now, according to the whistleblower, and we don't know his name is Ryan D. White, but that's an alias for this. In 2016, I made a video discussing quite a bit of this in an effort to get it to Devin Nunes, who was head of the House of Representatives Committee at the time. But there was interference from one of the people involved, and he messed that all up. So it went largely unnoticed. I can definitely believe that from happening. That happened, right, Alpha? And one of the things, again, in this deposition, if this was something was going to court, criminal or civil, if it was a lawsuit, again, we're not lawyers. We just do a lot of reading. That's what we do. There's two levels of evidence that you can consider when you're reading these things. Is it preponderance of the evidence, which is used in civil cases, and is it beyond a reasonable doubt, which is used in a criminal case? And that's what juries are charged with. You've served on juries before, right, Alpha? So have I. So I've been there, and I've sat in the jury box, and I've had to do these things, and also grand juries. So I've had my fair share of doing my civil duty. But it doesn't make me a lawyer. Just makes me I have some experience with this as being a lay person in the law. Just put that out there. So he tried to get all this out there, and it got stopped. Well, the interviewer says, now how are Rod Rosenstein and Mike Pence connected? Well, here we go. So
okay. So
read that. You could say,
all right. I gave everybody a little homework on the last episode. We posted this on our Telegram channel. We hope you downloaded it because we're going to have to move along pretty quickly here because we don't have a lot of time to go over it. Essentially, what was going on here was this whole deposition contains a ton of information that he tried to give to Devin Nunes to get him to the House Intelligence Committee, and it didn't work out real well. And Rod Rosenstein is a real weasel. Like, he's a tremendous weasel, actually. He's the weaseliest weasel that ever weaseled. He's horrible, if this is to be believed. Now, he'll go on to say in this intro here about Mike Pence not liking Donald Trump because it was Mike Pence's turn to take the nomination to be, a presidential candidate.
Which is right here.
Yeah, that's right.
25. Yep.
He's got Paul Ryan, who felt the same way, and Mittens Romney is in here as well. They're all in it together.
Yep.
And Rod Rosenstein, in the very beginning of this, is talking about the hierarchy of power. Rod Rosenstein had designs on being the VP. They were all trying to slug it out to see who was going to be the VP.
Yep. And it goes into the friendly relationship between Mike Pence and Rosenstein. And this is, again, This is from his vantage point, along with they called the program basically "Run Silent, Run Deep."
Yep.
They wanted it so that no one could follow this along, or that they wouldn't suspect anything was going on. But in the background, Rosenstein is working on getting all kinds of different things to try and push President Trump out of office. And keep that in mind when you get a hold of this and you start reading this, why things have happened. If you keep that 60,000 foot view, and things that have happened the way they've happened will kind of make sense. And that's the thing I take away from this as you go through it, right, Alpha? These are things that just like, why in God's green earth wouldn't they just interpret the Constitution the way it's supposed to be interpreted? And all of a sudden, you have these decisions being made, and now this makes complete sense.
But now you're jumping a little bit here.
Yeah.
You're jumping. They looked at Pence as they were just absolutely shocked that Donald Trump won the presidency. And they were looking at Pence as his handler because they had leverage on Pence. And what was that leverage that they're claiming to have had? Rod Rosenstein was claiming to have had. If you read the page that's up there, they're claiming that Mike Pence is a homosexual and potentially a pedophile. And they had leverage on him, a lot of it.
Yep.
The point of Rod Rosenstein, the Dirty Trick Squad, and the District of Baltimore Federal Prosecutor's Office was they went out and they compromised people.
Yep.
Illegal wiretaps, interception of emails, telephonic communications, bugging, tailing, surveillance, you name it. That's what they were doing to all of these politicians. All of them.
Here, and in this part here, they talk about the FISA warrants that Rosenstein got hold of. He signed, and he made that whole big spiel in front of Congress. Here's the real thing that happened was that FISA warrants, because Chief Justice Roberts advised court and helped prepare them. And it was also, Epstein was an intelligence asset of some type.
Okay, now wait, how does Epstein fit into this?
Epstein supplied whatever disgusting stuff that he was accused of before he...
Well, he was a blackmail artist, number one.
Yep.
Number two, Epstein facilitated the adoption of 2 Welsh children illegally, allegedly, for Chief Justice Roberts, whom also in this deposition is claimed to be a pedophile and a homosexual.
And those kids were trafficked.
Claimed to have been trafficked.
Claimed to be a traffic. Claim. Correct. Moving on. So these FISA warrants, that's where does Chief Justice Roberts come in? If it's to be believed that he was compromised, he arranged for the FISA warrants to be signed by judges that also were compromised.
That's right. They had the goods on everybody.
They did, and that was their job to get dirty
leverage
laundry out for everybody. And it's terrible that this dirty trick squad did what they did to get people to do what they were not wanting to do.
All of these disgusting people, if this is to be believed, all of these disgusting people hold the highest level of security clearances you can get.
Yep.
Let's move it along a little bit quicker. We talk about Epstein here.
So here's where the interviewee talks about children are often used as the commodity.
Yep.
A way to buy yourself into certain inner circles.
That's right.
This is where the trafficking comes in. Again,
they wouldn't trust you in their inner circle unless you were also compromised and they had something on you too.
That's correct. You could not be a justice. You could not be in any of these positions of power unless they had a compromise on you, which if you just extrapolate for 1 second, look at the new judges that President Trump put on the court. I'm starting to see, we don't know what they have on the others, but then why aren't they voting for these things to be looked at in a review from the Supreme Court?
Right. And there were a lot of videos that were taken in possession of Sean Henry from CrowdStrike. Remember CrowdStrike. Now, CrowdStrike is a cybersecurity firm. This Sean Henry's name appears prominently throughout this deposition as being one of the chief bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Chief bad guys, former FBI guy.
Yep.
So scroll down, keep going. We've pretty much covered this section.
Yep. We'll just kind of zip along here because you can read this.
You can read it for yourself.
You can do all you want because they're going to get into the next section here.
Oh, and Rod Rosenstein, according to this deposition, hated Hillary Clinton as well.
Mm-hmm.
Had the goods on her, too.
And there were also actors that worked for Rosenstein that were named here that were the heavies, basically, that enforced their wishes. Right.
So this is kind of interesting the way that they do this. Scroll.
Yeah, no, it's locked up. Yeah.
Sorry, folks. Production value. We have day jobs.
So here we go. This is about Vice President Mike Pence.
Yes, this is the section of the deposition where this gentleman goes through the fact that, or the facts as he presents them, or his facts, that Mike Pence is a compromised pedophile and homosexual. Now, do I believe it? I don't know.
Don't know. And supposedly for the power and everything else, the wife was in on it, according to this story and according to this deposition. Again,
that's right.
Wait, I have no way to verify it. I'm just reading, and there you have it.
And right there, they had everything they needed to control the vice president.
Yep.
Look. I'm not sure that I believe everything in here. Like I said, this guy could be some roast beef eater from Arby's that was just sitting there having a sandwich, and he's telling stories. But it might explain the way Pence was acting.
Mm-hmm. When it came time to just send it back to the states.
Right. And there's Mitt Romney's name appears prominently in this as well.
Yep. When you get into more of the story about, how it was covered up, how it was done, the interviewee or the interviewer, the person giving the deposition really does go into all this detail. And again, we're not going to get into it tonight, but you can definitely go and read it and find it on our page for Telegram. The other thing was that this started way back when Mike Pence was in the Congress, and then as he ascended,
when he was a governor,
and when we got to a governor, he's more emboldened, and then when he became the vice president, it was basically he was held in reserve to hold up against President Trump because they didn't like President Trump, right? So
they just didn't feel that President Trump paid his dues, and he wasn't the guy that they chose, and he wasn't the one that was supposed to be president. It was supposed to be Hillary Clinton.
So back in January 2021, there's another section here where they talk about the Dirty Trick Squad. We kind of breezed over that one, but this goes into detail about it was just a nickname. It certainly wasn't anything official. According to the interviewee, there's a group of people that were either dirty or they were controlled.
Hold on one second. Yep. Remember the names: Rod Rosenstein, Sean Henry, and he was FBI. Sean Bridges, he was Secret Service. Joseph Rosati, who was with the DEA.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Broshok, he was with the ATF. Gregory Utz with the TFO with the DEA, but he was formerly Baltimore County PD.
Mm-hmm.
And these were the core guys that were acting as the muscle and the brains of the operation. These guys were into, we're gonna cut to the chase here.
Yep.
They were into coercion. If you read further into this, it claims that they were into torture. Mm-hmm. They were into racketeering. They were into blackmail, bribery, drug running, altering pharmaceutical records from the DEA side, any number of things.
and diversion of those narcotics.
And they were tied in with the mob, and they had all sorts of money flowing. And cash. It's all cash.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. This is either if this is true, it's so disgusting I can't even, or it's the greatest story ever told. You have to decide for yourself.
That's right. We're just letting everyone know, because last time I checked, Alpha, there is no such thing as a frontline story or front news story on the Epic Times about this, or anywhere. So
let's fast forward a little bit. So
right,
the gentleman who's bringing this forward and trying to tell the tale and trying to give the information to Devin Nunes, he was eventually arrested. Okay.
Yeah.
He was arrested on charges. They set him up, and this was one of their tricks that they used from the Baltimore County. Oh, not Baltimore County, the Baltimore Federal District Attorney's Office there, the federal attorney. They would send packages of drugs to people and set them up.
Or put things on their computer like child porn.
Correct.
And set them up.
I believe it was Sean Henry that was the computer wizard, purportedly from this deposition. And what his specialty was, he was born to do computer fraud. Okay?
That's correct. He was very good at it. The interviewee said he was not bad with computers. This guy, Henry, was an ace. He was one of your crack coders.
He winds up being one of the cybersecurity leads for the federal government, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And this guy made a habit with the Dirty Trick Squad of planting child porn on people's computers. So, like, they'd send you a package of drugs in the mail, and you'd try to slither out of that one, and you might be able to get out. But then all of a sudden, they find something on your computer and say, we're charging you with this too, buddy.
And then they would make you pay and lose things, and, then you would, but they wouldn't typically, unless you were like this whistleblower who had everything had recorded stuff, and they wanted the information they wanted. And the whistleblower had, I think, multiple copies of it, but they really he was in jail, and he was tortured, and he was taken out on furloughs with these people and got beaten and starved to death. And it's not, wow. I mean, it's just, holy cow, this happens in America. Yep.
Well, we skipped a big chunk that's been a real big black hole for a long time. Was
it's a lot.
The murder of the DNC staffer.
Yes, Seth Rich. Yeah.
The gentleman who is putting down it's in this deposition.
Yep.
He goes ahead and he puts the finger in this story that he's telling. He puts the finger on Rod Rosenstein and the Dirty Trick Squad for taking out a hit on this kid to get the information that he was going to transmit to WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
How they did it. Allegedly, they went somewhere, they picked up a couple of MS-13 gang members, and the ATF agent who's involved, Rosati, I believe, was the one who supplied the firearm for that hit. It was not supposed to be a murder, according to this deposition. They were supposed to kick the shit out of this kid and take the thumb drive, but what wound up happening is it went wrong. And what's really super curious in this deposition is, why are Donna Brazil and the former mayor of Washington, D.C. at the emergency room before Seth Rich shows up? Coincidence?
Correlation?
I don't know. You decide, everybody. I'm just saying, this is what this gentleman is putting forth in this deposition. So you need to think about it. And also, they were in charge of disposing of the gun and taking the hitters and getting them out of town unnoticed. So, yeah. Awesome, huh?
Now, this other section here is about Emmett G. Sullivan, who everyone should know, remember the names, is the judge that was right here on the Flynn case.
Yes, he was the gentleman that was keeping Michael Flynn a political prisoner for several years.
and he's a known pedophile and friend of the Bidens. And
Yes, he
when they
is.
wanted to drop the case, I think we can skip through this and just cut to the chase. Sullivan was on the take, which follows the MO of everything else, and friends with Biden. And now that I read this and I went back to the idea of Sullivan, the prosecution is dropping the case. Why aren't you dropping this? And he had all these exotic law type procedures to try and keep the case going to bind up General Flynn. This all makes it sense now. This makes sense. What's going on in this section of the deposition?
Right.
Crazy.
This is just insane stuff.
But Biden is also Joe Biden is told that by the despondent or the one that's being deposed here is a racist, and he talks about that too in later parts of the section. But there's no holds barred on this, people. So you really got to read this, and it's amazing if it's true.
He goes into, in further sections, when we're starting to talk about Joe Biden in this deposition, he talks about him being just an absolutely disgusting, inappropriate old man. Young children and pedophilia. He likes young children, pedophilia, child porn.
The son didn't fall far from the dad there.
No, allegedly, no.
No, allegedly. Yep.
Right.
Obama.
Look, guys, everybody out there, look, we like to bring you the hard truth and the stories, but we want to put this out there because we want you to make a decision. I can't verify this, okay?
Nope.
It's everything that's gone on. The reason we're even doing this is so disgusting, but plausible.
And explains, and think about the cause and effect, everyone. Just the effect right now. Because I've been racking my brain trying to figure out why the Supreme Court would not take something up that's so clear and evident that was wrong. This makes sense as to why it happened. I'm trying to make sense as to why people that we've elected in power are doing things behind the scenes. This whole deposition makes it clear. Cause and effect, if it's to be believed. And it gets into more detail about some of the things that happened with Biden, and we saw some of it on video. People, smelling kids' hair and rubbing shoulders.
This goes into even a little bit more than that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this goes into to keep Biden originally when he was VP, to keep him quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Every little shady deal that Obama got into, they had to cut little Joey Biden and his family in for 10%.
Mm-hmm. The big daddy.
Yep, the big guy.
The big guy.
The big guy gets 10%.
Again, if this is to be believed,
right?
It makes sense. The decisions that were being made.
So this goes on a little further.
Next section here is about Rosenstein and the Russians.
Oh yeah. The Russian connection was definitely not with Trump. Everybody.
Nope, it was Rosenstein.
It was absolutely Rosenstein and Hillary Clinton,
according to this.
That's right.
If this is to be believed, allegedly.
Right.
As we keep saying this over and over again, this is because we can't verify it, but we're saying it because in the grand scheme of things and the preponderance of the evidence, it makes sense.
In the context of the way things have gone on, yeah, absolutely, it makes sense. Yep. So you've got to read it. You've got to read all of it. There's a connection between Rod Rosenstein, relationships with the Russians, how they were all supposed to be discontinued, but yet they kept going. And Rod Rosenstein and Mike Pence was leaking information to them and everybody. This is, like I said, either the truth is stranger than fiction, I guess, or this is the greatest story ever told.
Right. And these are all sections here that You have to read it to believe it.
The long and the short of it is this is basically a trail of tears, right?
Yeah.
This goes through every little dirty secret and nuance that's happened in Washington, D.C. for the past 5 years. Obama's in here. Hillary's in here. Epstein connects them together. You've got Mike Pence, who's accused of being a pedophile, in here. You have Rod Rosenstein. You've got members of his, the DEA, the FBI, DOJ, uh, being members of what they refer to as the dirty trick squad to compromise people. They peddled in information, is what they did. And not only did they do that, they were involved in high-level racketeering, according to this, drug dealing. When they threw this man in jail, they went and they tortured him, allegedly. There are logs within the prison that would show him being signed in and signed out. They beat him so badly that he was a medical mess for many, many years. Okay, so this is back to the Seth Rich part here.
This is the last part. This is the last section of the 191 page deposition, which are.
I'm gonna read this for our podcast listeners out there. Okay.
Yep.
So this is the interviewee speaking about the Seth Rich incident. So it went bad quickly once he died. It's supposed to be a robbery, and the next thing they hear is, Donna Brazil and Muriel Bowser, the mayor of D.C., were at the hospital before he was even brought in. And they did have people at the crime scene as well. And they were there to recover it. Recover it is the thumb drive that Seth Rich used to carry around with information and the firearm.
Yep.
There's the thumb drive.
Yep. And that's what it says here. As I said, it was supposed to be a robbery. He was supposed to be, beat up, unconscious, bad shape, and they wanted to recover the thumb drive. That's why they were there. End of transcription.
Mysteriously, they show up at the emergency room before the body's even cold.
That's right.
He was supposed to have been brought in all beat up, not dead.
And this is where, when you look at it again, and after reading this, a lot of things make sense. And if it's to be believed that in order to be a judge, they had to have some compromising information over you, that's why these decisions are being made. And that's why Biden is sitting in the White House right now. Because evil has taken over. But it's our job as patriots to call this out if it is true.
I guess time is going to prove this out either one way or the other, right?
Yep. And again, if you think about the election irregularities, we have to use the proper words, but it doesn't matter, the cheating that happened, to the Mike Lindell video that he talks about all of the evidence that was obtained, to the decisions that are being made right now by Biden in the White House, opening up the borders, passing stimulus bills, but paying back all those that were part of. If you want to go down the COVID-19, there was a saying that I heard today: COVID-19 is true, but the statistics about the deaths is a hoax. And all of this starts to make sense. It was a control of the narrative for a small number of people to take power. You can't make this stuff up.
Well, if somebody did make this up, they did a hell of a good job.
Yeah. Again, we're presenting it to you. You tell us what you think. You can always drop us an email, info@signal50.com, info@signal50.com. Let us know what you think. Are we off our rockers for even talking about it?
I don't even want to entertain the thought. I always thought that Mike Pence was probably a pretty good guy. And if this is true, it's just completely shattered my image of that man. I thought he was a pretty stand-up dude. If this is true, wow, it's horrible.
Mm-hmm. And again, you're not going to see this in the mainstream media. Are you?
And I'm not saying if the man is a homosexual, it's terrible. I'm saying if the man is a pedophile, it's terrible.
No, no. I'm talking about this whole.
Oh, the whole thing is just gross.
It's media blackout. It's not, again, if Q and the Anons are supposed to be believed, again, there's, again, we're all just trying to provide for our families, especially you and I, Alpha, right? We're all doing it, but I am too. We're trying to do some good work, leave our mark on this world. Our time is finite on this planet. We're all just trying to do the right thing. And if you really think about the comment it comes to mind all the time, Alpha, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it's all this stuff is supported in that deposition we just talked about.
Well, we'll have to see what happens. Like I said, time will prove this out one way or the other. I really hope it's not true. I always had my suspicions that Rod Rosenstein was a complete weasel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's a complete weasel, all right.
If this is true, he's a total weasel.
Right.
He was just a weasel before. Now he'd be a total weasel. But anyhow, everybody, thank you very much for spending another hour with us tonight. Make sure to visit our website at signal50.com. That's where you can pick up all of the locations of our podcast outlets. Check us out on Rumble and Parler as well. Make sure to hit our Telegram page. We're making some changes on Telegram. We're going to wind up putting some links to Telegram on our website. It is? Okay, great. I changed one of the group names, so I made it public, so we can get the chat channel up there. Anyhow, I'd like to give a shout out to our affiliate, POF USA, POF-USA.com, makers of the finest AR-15 rifles anywhere on the planet. Made by Patriots for Patriots. And someday when the price of ammo goes down a little bit, and it's maybe available, everybody get out there and enjoy some shooting when the weather gets nice. That's another story for another time.
It is getting nice outside. So
it sure is.
As you, if you couldn't watch us tonight here on YouTube as a live stream, catch us on Rumble. Please subscribe. We're at 499. Subscribe.
Come on, 500.
We want to hit 500. It's just one of those things we just never thought it would happen, but it seems to be going that direction. Also, it's time to thank all those people out there who decide to put the uniform on, our military, our people that decide if they want to protect us, put the shield on. They're police officers, of course, protect us. Hearts go out to the ones that are in Minnesota who are still on the job, who have a sense of duty and commitment. Hang in there. I'm hoping it will get better for you.
I hope so too.
Firefighters, EMS workers, and of course the frontline medical workers also who are there keeping us safe. So don't want to forget about them.
Sidebar.
Yes, sir.
The IHOP burned down in town last night.
Oh,
totally did. Oh well. Anyhow, guys, nice try on saving that one. I think you saved it for the most part. But anyhow, hey everybody out there, thank you very much. Have a great week. It's Wednesday. It's Thursday Eve, Hump Day, and the weekend is only 2 short days away. So everybody out there, you take care of yourselves. Go out and enjoy this warm weather. Stretch your legs, and my understanding is COVID is over, so we can all rest easy now that Joe Biden has cured the virus.
No.
I know. Okay. Good night, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Take care. Cue
the music.
Cue on the music. Take care. Again, thanks for listening. This is the end of our Signal 50 transmission.